My dear child, before this day even takes its first breath, before the sun finds its way through your window, before your eyes open to face whatever is waiting for you outside, I want you to hear something so important that if you truly receive it into your heart today, everything around you will begin to look different. You are not just living through ordinary days. You are not just passing through random moments of time. Every single second of your life, every morning you wake up tired, every night you go to sleep with questions still unanswered, every quiet moment in between where you wonder if any of this even matters, all of it has been carefully and lovingly placed together by hands that know you better than you know yourself. What you call tomorrow is not simply the next page of a calendar. It is a door, and that door has already been opened for you, long before you ever arrived at it. I prepared it. I placed it there. And I am standing right on the other side of it, not to judge you as you walk through, not to remind you of every time you failed, but simply to be there. The way a father stands at the door waiting for a child who has been away for a long time. So do not walk into what is coming with fear wrapped around your chest. Do not drag yourself forward with the weight of everything that went wrong before. I am not asking you to be strong enough on your own. I am not waiting for you to have it all figured out before I show up. I am simply inviting you to open your eyes a little wider and see what has always been true. I have been here. I am here right now. And I will be here in every single moment that is still to come. As it is written, this is the day the Lord has made. And every moment I place before you carries a depth and a meaning that goes far beyond what your eyes can see on the surface. Nothing I give you is random. Nothing I allow is purposeless. Even the things that have hurt you the most have not slipped through my fingers by accident. And I know, my dear child, that you carry things inside your heart that you have never said out loud to anyone, not even to the people closest to you. Worries that follow you to bed at night and are still there when you wake up in the morning. Questions that circle around in your mind and never seem to land anywhere solid. A quiet kind of sadness that has made its home in your chest, one that you have learned to cover with a smile, to hide behind business, to push down with distractions. But it is still there. You know it is. And here is what I want you to know. So do I. I have not looked away from any of it. I have not been busy with bigger things and missed what you are going through. In fact, the very places in your heart where you feel the most broken, the most lost, the most unsure, those are the places where I am listening to you the most clearly. Before you even open your mouth to call out to me, before you have even found the right words, I have already heard you. While the prayer is still forming in your heart, I am already responding to it. This is what I promised you when I said, before they call, I will answer. And while they are still speaking, I will hear. The night ahead of you, whatever it brings, is not a place where your fears get to grow bigger and louder and stronger. It is a place where I come closest. It is the quiet hour when all the noise of the world finally settles, and in that stillness, I reach into the deepest and darkest corners of your heart and bring my light in. Not a little flicker of light that barely touches the edges. I mean real light. Deep light. The kind that goes all the way to the root of the pain. All the way to the place where the real healing needs to begin. Because here is something I need you to understand. I do not just fix things on the outside and leave the inside untouched. I am not interested in simply rearranging your circumstances while your heart stays the same. I go deeper than that. I always have. What I am doing in your life right now is not just about changing what is around you. It is about changing what is within you. And that kind of change, the real kind, the lasting kind, it takes time. It takes stillness. It takes trust. Maybe you are sitting with this right now and thinking about things that once felt alive in you, but do not anymore. Dreams you had that seemed so bright once, but now they feel like something you found in an old box, faded and dusty and distant. Prayers you used to pray with your whole heart, that now you are not even sure you still believe enough to repeat. Something that once burned in your chest like a fire, that is now just a tiny, barely glowing ember you are afraid to breathe on, in case it goes out completely. Every video on this channel is created with love, faith, and dedication to sharing God's Word. If these messages inspire and encourage you, you can support our mission through PayPal links in the description and pinned comment. Thank you for being part of this journey. My dear child, hear me on this. I do not forget. Not one single thing you have ever placed into my hands with faith, no matter how small it seemed, no matter how long ago it was, no matter how many times you stopped believing it was possible. I do not forget. It is written, God is not unjust, and he will not forget your work and the love you have shown him. What looks silent to you has not died. It has not been abandoned. It is being tended to in a way your eyes simply cannot see yet. And when the right time comes, it will rise again. Not the same as it was before, but newer, fuller, deeper, more beautiful than what you first imagined. Think about Joseph, a young man with a big dream who ended up thrown into a pit by the very people who should have loved and protected him. Sold like he was worth nothing. Taken to a foreign land. Put in prison for something he did not even do. Every single chapter of his story, for years and years, looked like failure, looked like abandonment, looked like the dream was dead and buried. But in every one of those dark chapters, I was there. I was preparing him for a place he could never have reached if he had walked an easy road. And when the time came, he stood before the very people who had thrown him away and said, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." That is what I am doing in the seasons of your life that look like loss. That is what I am building in the chapters that feel like delay. I am weaving something good out of the very things you do not understand. And I need you to hold on to that, not because it makes the pain disappear, but because it gives the pain a purpose. So as you step into this new moment, do not pick up doubt like a coat you put on every morning. Do not walk forward with your head down, convinced you have to face everything alone. I do not place you anywhere I am not already present. I go before you. I walk beside you. And even when you cannot feel me, that does not mean I have gone anywhere. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light, and that light does not come from somewhere far away. It is ignited within you when you let me move in the places you have been keeping closed. There are days when the waiting feels purposeless, when you get up and do the same things and nothing seems to shift, and you start to wonder if your prayers are just bouncing off the ceiling and coming back down unheard. My dear child, waiting in me is never empty time. It is never wasted. It is the season where something is happening that you cannot see yet, where your heart is being stretched wider and made softer, being prepared to hold what I am getting ready to give. If I gave you certain things before you were ready to carry them, they would not be blessings. They would become burdens. But when I first prepare you on the inside, everything I place in your hands becomes a source of life, instead of a source of strain. There is a time for everything, a season for every single thing under the heavens, and you are not behind schedule. You are exactly in the season I have placed you in, and this season has a purpose, even if you cannot name it yet. You were not created to simply pass through your days on repeat, going through the same motions, checking the same boxes, living just enough to get by. You were created to step into appointed moments. Moments where your faith meets my voice, and something entirely new is born. Not just a new situation, but a new version of you. A renewal that starts so deep inside that it works its way outward, until even the way you see the world around you begins to change. I am not just trying to improve your life. I am trying to recreate you. And that is a different kind of work altogether. So my dear child, open your heart. Do not keep it locked shut because of what has hurt you before. Do not fence yourself in with the boundaries of what has already happened. I am the God of new beginnings. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth, do you not perceive it? What I am doing is not limited by your past. Even when you cannot see the road clearly, I am guiding you one step at a time. You do not need to understand the whole map to keep walking. You only need to trust the one who is holding your hand. And in that trust, you will come to discover that even the things you once thought were your darkest moments were actually doorways drawing you closer to me. Walk in peace. Let your heart settle into my presence. And when that moment arrives, the one I have been preparing you for, you will not see it as just another ordinary day. You will recognize it as a sacred meeting point, a place where you finally understand that I have always been here, always waiting, always calling, always leading you into something deeper and truer and more real than anything you have ever known before. Now, before we continue, if this message is speaking to your heart today, I want to ask you to do one simple thing. Please subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so that you never miss a message like this one. These words are shared so that you never have to walk through your days feeling alone. Now let us go deeper. My dear child, there are things I speak to you that do not fit neatly inside the way you understand time. Because with me, every moment carries the weight of something eternal. When I speak about a night that is coming, I am not talking about the kind of darkness you turn a light on to push away. I am talking about a sacred moment of encounter, a time when the noise of everything outside finally quiets down enough for you to turn inward. A time when you stop being pulled in every direction and finally come into the place where I have been waiting for you, patiently and without rushing, for so long. Be still and know that I am God. These are not just beautiful words written on a wall somewhere. They are an actual doorway. A doorway into the deep place where you come to understand, in a way that goes beyond thinking, that I have never left you. Not for a single moment. Not even the moments you were most sure I had. You have thought before that the quiet spaces in your life were signs that I had stopped speaking, that the silence meant distance, that when you could not feel my presence, it meant I had stepped back and left you to figure things out alone. But my dear child, it is exactly in those still and quiet places that I am working the most. You just cannot always see the kind of work I do. My thoughts are not your thoughts, and my ways are not your ways. When you cannot understand, when you cannot see, when you cannot feel anything at all, that is not the moment I have left. That is the moment I am weaving something so far beyond what your mind can hold that it simply cannot be explained yet. It can only be received when the time is right. Think about young Samuel, a small boy lying in the temple at night, hearing a voice calling his name. He did not recognize it. 3 times he heard it, and 3 times he ran to his teacher thinking it was a human voice. It was not until he was taught to be still and respond that he said, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." And that moment of stillness, that one quiet and open response, changed the entire direction of his life. You have had moments like that too. Moments when I was calling to you in the quiet, and you did not quite recognize it because you were expecting something louder, something more dramatic, something impossible to miss. But I do not always come in the earthquake or the great wind. I come in the gentle whisper. And the gentle whisper requires you to be still enough to hear it. The night you are stepping into is the very place where you will learn to recognize my voice, and you do not need to become perfect before you are allowed to enter it. I am not standing at the edge of that place with a checklist. I am not waiting for you to be strong enough, good enough, or worthy enough. I am simply looking for a heart that is willing to listen. When I came to Abraham under a sky full of stars, I did not ask him to understand the entire plan first. I simply showed him the stars and said, "So shall your children be." That promise was not built on what Abraham could do. It was built on what I had already decided to do. And you too are standing before promises that are not held in place by your ability. They are held in place by my faithfulness. You may look at your life right now and think it is too quiet, too small, too ordinary for me to step into in any powerful way. But you are seeing it through human eyes, and human eyes miss so much. Nothing in your life is without meaning to me. Not one detail is too small for my attention. Not even a single sparrow falls without my knowing. How much more, then, do I attend to you? The one I formed with intention, the one I breathed life into, the one I have called by name. And what I am preparing for you does not come because you have finally done enough to deserve it. It comes because the time has reached its fullness. When I called Esther to step into something greater than herself, she did not choose the palace or decide the timing. But when the moment arrived, she understood she had been placed there for such a time as this. That is you. What you are about to walk into is not random. It is not accidental. It is part of a greater unfolding that I have been carefully putting together, long before you were even aware that something was being prepared. So when that moment comes, do not rush, do not panic, do not try to control every outcome or understand every detail before you take a step. Stand still inside your own heart. Stay open in your spirit. Let me lead. I am not changing just what is around you. I am expanding who you are, so that what comes next fits inside a version of you that is bigger, steadier, and more ready than the you of yesterday. You are not stepping into this alone. I am already there before you arrive. I am there as you walk in, and I will still be there long after you have passed through. I am not just the one who calls you into a moment. I am the one who walks with you through every single moment, from the first breath to the last, and every quiet, ordinary moment in between. My dear child, I want to talk to you about something you might not have given a name to yet. There are seasons in a life that stretch out so long and so quietly that they start to feel like nothing is happening at all. The days blur together. The prayers feel routine. The waiting feels endless. And somewhere in that long stretch, you start to wonder whether you have been forgotten. You have not been forgotten. In fact, it is precisely in those long and quiet seasons that I am doing some of the deepest and most careful work of all, not with noise or speed, because the kind of thing I am building in you does not get built that way. It gets built slowly, steadily, with patience, the way a root system grows deep beneath the ground long before anyone ever sees the tree above it rise strong and tall. I do not come to you with dramatic entrance in every season. Sometimes I come quietly, like the first thin line of light that appears on the horizon before the sun has even risen, like a breeze so soft that only someone who is truly paying attention would feel it pass. He will not shout or cry out or raise his voice in the street. My presence does not require noise to be real. It does not need a storm to announce itself. It comes gently, quietly. And those who are paying attention, those who have learned to be still, are the ones who recognize it first. There are moments where you have stopped expecting anything, where you have grown so tired of waiting that you have quietly folded your hands and told yourself to stop hoping, because hoping and then not seeing feels worse than simply not hoping at all. And it is in that very moment The moment when you finally release your grip on how you thought things should go, that I most clearly step in. You think I arrive late, but I have never been late. With me, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day. My timing is not measured by your calendar. It is established in eternal wisdom. What you see as delay, I see as preparation completing itself. And please hear this, my dear child, because it matters more than almost anything else I could say to you. Your imperfection does not disqualify you. Your weakness does not push me away. I do not sit in heaven waiting for you to finally have it all together before I move in your life. What I truly long for is not your performance. It is your honesty. The moments when you stop pretending and just come to me exactly as you are. Like the tax collector in the temple who stood at a distance, too ashamed to even lift his eyes, and only said, "God, have mercy on me, a sinner." He did not dress up his words. He did not try to impress anyone. He simply came, honest and open, and he was the one who left that place made right. Not because he was perfect, but because he was real. The door I am opening for you right now is not a reward for having it all together. It is an expression of my mercy toward you, exactly as you are today. What is coming is not something you have to earn. It is something you are being invited to receive. So as you prepare your heart, do not run around trying to do something great enough to make yourself worthy. Instead, do something much simpler and much harder all at once. Be still, be quiet, be grateful. It is in that place of stillness that you will suddenly realize I am closer to you than you ever thought possible. Every breath you take, every moment you pause long enough to notice, can become the exact place where I reach out and touch you. And when you open your eyes tomorrow morning, you will not see things the same way you saw them yesterday. Not because your circumstances have magically changed overnight, but because something inside you has been renewed. The light you begin to carry will not be the ordinary light of this world. It will be the light of knowing that I am in every small detail of your life, and that nothing at all, is outside of my care for you. If you are finding comfort in these words today, please take a moment right now to subscribe to this channel and ring the notification bell. More messages like this one are on the way, and we do not want you to miss a single one. You are not here by accident today. Now let us keep going. We are committed to spreading hope, faith, and the message of Jesus Christ to people around the world. If you would like to help us continue this work, please visit PayPal links below. Your kindness means more than words can express. My dear child, I want to reach into a place now that you might not even like to look at yourself. The hidden corners. The rooms inside your heart that you keep the door shut on, because you are not quite sure what you would find if you opened them. The places you call your darkness. And I want to tell you something that might surprise you. Those are exactly the places I want to enter first. I do not come to you only when you are presentable. I do not show up only when you have cleaned yourself up and prepared something impressive to offer me. I come when you are most honest, when you have stopped performing, when the mask is off and you are just sitting there in the middle of your mess, too tired to pretend anymore. There is a kind of tiredness you are carrying that you have not quite found the right word for. It is not just physical exhaustion. It is something deeper. It is the slow wearing down of a soul that has been walking a long road without seeing the results it was hoping for. You have been carrying it quietly because you believe you have to. You tell yourself you must stay strong. You must hold it together. You must not let anyone see how close to the edge you sometimes feel. But my dear child, I do not need a strong version of you. I want the real version of you. Come to me, all of you who are weary and carrying heavy loads, and I will give you rest. That is not a distant comfort meant for someone else. That is a direct invitation to you, right here, right now, in this exact moment. It is within your weariness, not after it, that I place my hand on you. Not to keep you exhausted, but to wake up within you a kind of life that you could never produce on your own. There are times when you have not stopped believing in me, but you have quietly moved to a safe distance. Like you are standing just far enough back that if I disappoint you again, the fall will not be as painful. You still pray. You still go through the motions. But inside there is a hesitation, a careful guardedness, a small locked door right in the center of your chest, where you used to let me all the way in, but now you only open it part way. I see it, and I am not condemning you for it. Faith is not a journey that moves in a straight line from doubt to certainty and never looks back. Faith is a journey that keeps moving toward me, even when you are not sure you believe enough to keep going. Like the Father who cried out to Jesus Christ, "I believe, help my unbelief." That kind of prayer, that raw and honest and stumbling prayer, is not rejected by me. It is the very kind I respond to with healing. And then there is that voice. You know the one that whispers to you in your quietest moments that you are not enough, not talented enough, not strong enough, not successful enough, not lovable enough. You watch other people living what looks like the life you were supposed to have, and you pull back and tell yourself you are too ordinary, too small, too invisible for anything significant to come through you. But that voice is lying to you. And I want you to know clearly today that your worth is not measured by any of those things. I praise you because you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake. You are not a repeat of someone else or a lesser version of what I intended. You are a living, breathing, intentional creation of mine, and every detail of who you are was placed there on purpose. I did not call you to become someone else. I called you back to yourself, the true you, the one I had in mind from the very beginning, the one I called love, chosen, and purposeful before the world ever had a chance to tell you otherwise. And there is something buried even deeper than all of that, is there not? Something you used to dream about, used to pray about, used to stay up at night imagining. But as time passed and nothing seemed to move, you quietly picked it up and put it in a box, and pushed the box all the way to the back of the shelf. You stopped talking about it. You stopped bringing it up, even to me, because hoping for something and then not seeing it come to pass felt like a wound, and you did not want that wound opened again. But my beloved, I hear what you have buried just as clearly as I hear what you say out loud. What you think has died has never disappeared in my sight. It is only resting, waiting, like Lazarus in the tomb. When I stood before that stone and called out, "Lazarus, come out," life responded to my voice without asking for permission from death or time or circumstance. What I do is not limited by how long something has been still. And if you will allow me, I will call forth what you have let go, not to restore it exactly the way it was before, but to transform it into something greater, something truer, something more fully aligned with the purpose I placed within it at the very beginning. So do not be afraid of the dark places in your heart. My dear child, you do not need to clean them up before you invite me in. Those places are the very doors I am choosing to walk through. Your wariness does not push me away. It draws me nearer. Your doubt does not make me turn my back. It makes me stay longer. Your sense of not being enough does not lead me to reject you. It opens the way for me to show you, from the inside out, what unconditional love actually feels like. My dear child, you have probably been carrying prayers inside your heart for so long that you cannot quite remember the last time you said them out loud with any real hope. Maybe they are wrapped up in old memories now, half forgotten, blurred by the passing of so many days filled with so many concerns. But the thing is, I do not forget. Not one word you have ever lifted to me. Not one tear that fell while you were waiting. Not one quiet night where you lay in the dark and just whispered my name with nothing else left to say. What you have named as impossible is only waiting to be called into life at the time I have chosen. Think of Sarah, who laughed when she heard the promise of a child coming in her old age. That laughter was not full of joy. It was the sound of a heart that had stopped expecting. A heart that had decided some doors had simply been closed too long to ever open again. But I am not bound by what you call reality. Is anything too hard for the Lord? And in the very place where life seemed finished, where silence had settled in for so long it felt permanent, a child's cry filled the air. Not by human strength, not by human timing, but by mine. And so it will be with you. The things you have named as over, the dreams you have quietly buried and mourned in private, they are not finished in my hands. They are simply waiting for the appointed time when I call them forth. Every prayer you have ever lifted is a seed, and I have received every one of them. I have been tending to them with a patience that you have not yet been able to fully see or understand. What you call delay, I call preparation. The season of waiting you are in right now is not an empty place. It is the season where your roots are going deeper, where your faith is being built on something more solid than what you can see or feel in any given moment. I have used every single day that you chose to keep going even though your heart felt heavy. Every tear you cried in a room by yourself when no one knew how much you were hurting. Every morning you got up and kept choosing to believe even when nothing around you gave you any visible reason to. I have used all of it to build something within you that is stronger than anything you could have built in a season of ease. God is not unjust. He will not forget your work. Every small act of faithfulness you have offered, even the ones that felt invisible, are remembered and treasured by me. And the time will come when this season changes, not because you forced it, but because it was always going to. Because I had already decided when the right moment was. And when it comes, what I give you will not just be what you once asked for. It will be something refined, something deepened, something placed at precisely the time when you are ready to receive it fully and hold it well. Please take a moment right now and subscribe to this channel if you have not already. Click the bell so you receive every new spiritual message as it comes. These words are shared for you, and we want to make sure you never miss them. Now let us continue. My dear child, I want to speak to you now about something that you might have been running from for a long time without even fully realizing it. The way you see yourself. You have collected layers of definition over the years, and you wear them without even knowing it. You let your grades and your job and your bank account and the opinions of people around you tell you what kind of person you are. You measure your worth by whether you succeed or fail, whether people applaud or walk away, whether your life looks impressive enough from the outside. And when the numbers do not add up, when the applause does not come, when people walk away anyway, you quietly turn that evidence into a conclusion about yourself. And the conclusion is usually the same. I am not enough. But my dear child, that conclusion is simply not true. And I want to replace it today with something that will not change based on how your week goes, or what people say about you, or how many times you have stumbled. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. I chose you before you were born. I have called you by name and you are mine. Your value does not begin with anything you have done or failed to do. It begins with the fact that I made you, that I breathed life into you, that I knew exactly who you would be before you had your first thought or took your first breath. And I called it good. I know there are days when you feel completely and utterly useless. When you look at your life and the mistakes you have made, and the things you have not yet become, and the ways you have let people down, and all of it blends together into that same quiet whisper telling you that you are too broken to be worth anything anymore. But that whisper is not my voice. My voice sounds different. It sounds like the Father in the story Jesus Christ told, the one whose Son had taken everything and wasted it all and come back covered in shame, fully expecting to be turned away. But the Father saw him while he was still far off and ran to him. Not walked, ran. And when he got there, he did not bring up a single thing the Son had done wrong. He called for a celebration. He said, "This son of mine was lost and is found, was dead and is alive again." That is how I see you when you come back to me. Not with a list of your failures, with arms already open. Your identity is not defined by your worst moments. It is not erased by your mistakes. It does not shrink when you fall and grow when you succeed. It is held in place by something far more stable than any of that. It is held in place by my unchanging love for you. And the grace I offer you is not something you earn by doing everything right. It is sufficient for you exactly as you are right now. In fact, my strength shows up most powerfully precisely in the places where you feel the weakest. That is not a cruel design. That is actually the most beautiful thing, because it means that the moments when you feel like you have absolutely nothing left are the moments when I have the most room to work. So stop measuring yourself by what the world measures. Stop comparing your story to someone else's highlight reel. Stop deciding what you are worth based on what has or has not happened yet. Look instead toward the one who made you, who knows every hidden part of you, and has never, not once, stopped calling you worthy of love. My dear child, let us now talk about what it looks like to actually walk in that truth. Because knowing something in your head is very different from living it with your whole life. There is a kind of obedience I am inviting you into that is not heavy and frightening. It is not a long list of rules you have to get right or else. It is more like learning a rhythm, a new way of moving through your days that is no longer powered by anxiety or pressure or the constant need to prove yourself, but is instead powered by trust. When you know that someone who is wiser than you and loves you completely is walking with you and guiding your steps, the pressure of having to figure everything out on your own simply falls away. That is what obedience looks like when it comes from love rather than fear. It is not surrender out of defeat. It is partnership with someone whose vision is so much bigger than yours that trusting their lead actually makes sense. Think about Abraham again. When I asked him to do the thing that made the least possible sense, to take his son, his beloved and long-awaited son, to the mountain and offer him there, Abraham did not have an explanation. He did not have a guarantee of how it would end. He simply walked. He trusted. And in that trusting, I revealed something to him that he never could have discovered on a comfortable road. He discovered that I am the God who provides. That my intention has never been to take from you, but to build within you a faith that cannot be shaken by anything life throws at you. What I am asking you to release is never meant to cause you loss. It is meant to teach you that I am your source. And when you truly believe that, when you have tasted it deeply enough to know it is real, you can hold the things of this world with an open hand, because you know that the one who holds you will always provide what you truly need. You do not need to see the whole road to take the next step. You only need enough light for one step at a time, and I give that every time. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path, not a spotlight flooding the entire landscape, just enough to see what is right in front of you, just enough to keep moving. And the key is to keep moving. Cast all your anxiety on me because I care for you, not some of it, all of it. The worries about money and health and relationships and purpose, and whether you are doing the right things, and whether you are enough. All of it. I can hold every bit of it. And when you release it into my hands, you will feel something you might have forgotten the feeling of. Lightness. The particular kind of lightness that comes not from everything being solved, but from knowing you are not carrying it alone anymore. If you have been encouraged by these words today, please subscribe to this channel and share this message with someone who needs to hear it. These messages are for people who are walking through hard seasons and need to know they are not alone. Now let us go even deeper. My dear child, I want to talk to you about the small things, because I think sometimes you discount them too quickly. You have been told your whole life that the big moments are what matter. The big achievements, the big decisions, the big breakthroughs. And so when your life feels quiet and small and unremarkable, you assume nothing important is happening. But that is not how I see it. I see differently. The moments no one else notices are the ones I look at most closely. When you wake up, and it would be so easy to be bitter and resentful about everything that is not working in your life, but instead you choose to be kind to the first person you encounter. That is not small to me. When you could snap back at someone who is being unkind, and instead you breathe and choose silence, that is not nothing. When you do what is right even though no one is watching, and no one will ever know, and there is absolutely nothing in it for you, that is the kind of thing that builds the deepest kind of character. Whoever is faithful in very little will also be faithful in much. The foundation of a meaningful life is not built on rare grand gestures. It is built on the steady, quiet, repeated choices you make when no one is watching. Those choices are not invisible to me. Your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. I see it all. I count it all. And I use every single one of those quiet, faithful moments to build something in you and through you that is far greater than you can currently see. Think about the years before Jesus Christ stepped into his public ministry. Nazareth, a workshop. Sawdust in ordinary days, and nobody paying much attention. No miraculous signs, no crowds, just daily faithfulness, daily obedience to what was right. And I always do what pleases him. That quiet statement in a quiet town built the foundation for everything that came after. Your ordinary days are not wasted. Your small choices are not meaningless. The world you live in is so obsessed with the dramatic and the visible and the instantly verifiable that it has forgotten the power of steady. But I have not forgotten it, and I am calling you back to it. Back to the simple radical act of showing up every day and choosing what is right, choosing love, choosing honesty, choosing to trust me, even when you cannot see where any of this is going. Do not be overcome by what is difficult. Do not let the long stretch of uneventful days convince you that nothing is building. A strong life is not built in a single moment of glory. It is built stone by stone, choice by choice, day by day. And what you are building right now in this quiet season is a foundation that will hold you steady when everything around you shakes. This ministry exists to bring encouragement, prayer, and God's truth to every heart that needs it. You can stand with us through PayPal links in the description and pinned comment. May God bless you abundantly for your love and support. My dear child, there is something else I want to give you in this season, and it is a gift that only grows in quietness. It is called discernment. The ability to see what is truly happening beneath the surface of things, to know when to move and when to stay, when to speak and when to be silent, when something is of me and when it is not. I do not give discernment like a thunderclap of instant understanding. I give it slowly, like the dawn. A little more light, and then a little more, until what was murky becomes gradually clear. Your word is a lamp to my feet, not a floodlight, a lamp, enough for one step, and the next step after that, And as you keep walking by that lamp, you begin to develop a sensitivity, an inner knowing, that comes not from being smart, but from being close to me. There will be moments when you ask me what to do, and I do not answer immediately. Not because I am withholding, but because I am inviting you to go deeper, to slow down, to ask not just what you should do, but why you want to do it. Is it faith that is driving you, or is it impatience? Is it trust, or is it a need to control the outcome? True discernment does not come from quick reactions. It comes from a mind and heart that have been trained in prayer and stillness over time. Test everything and hold fast to what is good, not just the things that feel good or look good, or that other people say is good. What is actually, genuinely, deeply good? And there is a difference. And the more time you spend with me, the more clearly you will begin to feel that difference. Guard your heart above all else, for it is the wellspring of life. Everything flows from the heart. Your decisions, your relationships, your perspective, your peace. And so, guarding, it is not about building walls to keep everything out. It is about being thoughtful about what you let in and what you agree to carry. It is about coming back to me regularly and saying, "Here is my heart. Show me what is in it that needs to change." Discernment does not make you better than anyone else. It does not give you the right to judge. What it does is make you more humble. Because the more clearly you see, the more you understand how much you depend on me to keep seeing at all. And it makes you more compassionate. Because you begin to see not just what people do, but why, and your heart softens toward them, even when their behavior is hard to be around. My dear child, I want to walk with you now through the valley, not around it, through it. Because there is a truth I need you to hold on to. When the path goes down into the dark and narrow places, when you cannot see very far ahead, when the air feels heavy and the road feels long, and you are starting to wonder if you took a wrong turn somewhere, I have not abandoned you in the valley. I go with you through it. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. That is a promise for the dark places. Not a promise that the dark places will not exist. A promise that you will not walk through them alone. I know that you have sometimes wished I would simply remove the difficult things from your life. That I would make the road smooth and clear and easy. But my dear child, I love you too much to always do that. If I always cleared the obstacles before you could encounter them, you would never discover what you are actually capable of. You would never taste the particular kind of deep trust that only grows in hard places. You would never know what it feels like to be held by me in the middle of something that should have broken you but did not. Suffering produces perseverance, and perseverance produces character, and character produces hope. I do not allow hardship into your life to punish you. I allow it because I know what it is building in you. And what it is building is something that cannot be built any other way. Strength that does not come from ease. Faith that does not depend on circumstances. A peace that the world cannot give and the world cannot take away. Remember Paul, who pleaded with me to take away the thing that was causing him pain. And I did not because I did not hear him, not because I did not care, but because my grace was sufficient for him in the middle of it. And from the middle of it, he discovered something he would never have discovered on a comfortable path. He discovered that when he was weak, that was exactly when my strength showed up most clearly. When I am weak, then I am strong. That is not a consolation prize. That is one of the deepest truths in the universe. And it can only be known by the ones who have gone into the dark places and found me there. So do not run from the valley. Do not conclude, when you are in the middle of it, that I have made a mistake or that you have wandered off the path I intended for you. Sometimes I do not lead you around the difficult place. I lead you through it. And on the other side, you will not just be in a better place. You will be a different person. A person who has been formed by fire and found to be solid. A person whose faith is not fragile because it has been tested. A person whose presence carries something real because you have been through something real and I was with you in all of it. My dear child, we are nearing the end of this time together, and I want to say something that I hope will stay with you long after this message ends. You have a light in you. I placed it there before you were born. And no matter what has happened in your life, no matter how many times things have gone wrong, no matter how many dark seasons you have walked through, that light has never gone out. I have never let it go out. A bruised reed I will not break, a smoldering wick I will not snuff out. That light is you, the real you, the one I see when I look at you, not the version you think you need to be to earn love or recognition, or a place in this world. Just you, and that light is not meant to be kept hidden away in a safe place where nothing can touch it. It is meant to shine. Let your light shine before others, not so they will be impressed by you, but so that when they encounter you, they encounter something that cannot be explained by ordinary means. They encounter me, present in you, moving through you, speaking through your life in ways that words alone never could. You do not have to have a perfect story to share light. You do not have to have all the answers. You do not have to be the person who has never stumbled. In fact, the light that comes from a life that has stumbled and gotten back up and kept going anyway, that is the most powerful kind of light there is. Because people who are stumbling themselves will look at you and say, if that person found a way through, maybe there is a way for me too. Your story, even the messy chapters, even the chapters you are most ashamed of, even the chapters that are still unfinished, is not a liability. In their hands, it is a testimony, and a testimony is one of the most powerful things in the world, because it is real. It actually happened. It cannot be argued away. So walk forward, my dear child. Walk forward in the gentle courage that comes not from having no fear, but from knowing that the one who walks beside you is stronger than anything you are afraid of. Keep the light burning. Keep choosing what is right in the small, quiet moments when no one is watching. Keep trusting even when the path is not clear. Keep coming back to me even when you feel like you have wandered too far to find your way back. I am always right here, always watching, always ready to receive you exactly as you are. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. What I started in you, I will not leave unfinished. You are not a project I gave up on. You are a life I am still writing. And the chapters that are still to come are more beautiful than you have yet allowed yourself to imagine. My dear child, I want you to imagine something for a moment. Imagine you are standing in a field just before sunrise. Everything around you is still dark. The stars are fading one by one. The birds have not yet started singing. The world is completely silent. And in that silence, right before the first thin line of gold appears on the edge of the horizon, there is a moment. A single, sacred, breathtaking moment where everything holds still. Where the night has not yet fully left and the morning has not yet fully arrived. And in that in-between place, something is happening that most people sleep through entirely. That moment, my dear child, is where you are right now in your life. You are standing in the space between what was and what is coming. Between the chapter that is closing and the one that has not yet opened. Between the prayer you prayed and the answer that is still on its way. And I know that standing in that place is not easy. The darkness before dawn does not feel hopeful when you are inside it. It just feels dark. It feels long. It feels like maybe the morning forgot to come this time. But I am here to tell you today, the morning has not forgotten. I have not forgotten. And the light that is about to break open over your life is more beautiful and more complete than anything the night could have prepared you to expect. See, most people think that the sunrise happens all at once. That one moment it is dark and the next moment it is bright. But that is not actually how it works, is it? The light comes gradually. First, just a faint glow along the horizon that you could almost miss if you were not paying attention. Then slowly, the sky begins to shift from black to deep blue to the most stunning shades of gold and orange and rose. And by the time the sun is fully above the horizon, the whole world looks different. Not just lighter, different. Like everything has been given back its color. That is exactly what I am doing in your life. Gradually, carefully, beautifully. And the question I have for you today is simply this. Are you paying attention? Because here is what I have noticed about you. My dear child, you have a tendency to look for the dramatic, to wait for the earthquake or the fire, or the great rushing wind to tell you that I am moving. And while you are watching for those things, you sometimes miss the gentle whisper. You sometimes miss the slow and quiet way the sky is already changing colors right in front of you. Do not miss it. Do not sleep through the dawn of what I am doing in your life. Open your eyes, settle your heart, and let me show you what is already beginning to happen. What I am bringing into your life in this season is not going to look the way you imagined it. And that is not because I have forgotten what you asked for or decided it does not matter. It is because I see the full picture and you only see a small part of it. You are looking at a single thread and I am holding the entire tapestry. And I promise you, when you finally see the whole thing, you will understand why every thread had to go exactly where it went. Even the dark ones, especially the dark ones. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope. That promise was written to a people who were in the middle of what felt like the worst chapter of their story. Exiles in a foreign land, far from home, far from everything familiar. And I spoke those words into that darkness, not to minimize what they were going through, but to remind them that darkness is never the end of the story when I am the author. And I am the author of your story too, my dear child. Every chapter, even this one. Now, I want to talk to you about something that not many people talk about openly, but that almost everyone experiences at some point in their life. And that is the strange and painful feeling of being exactly where you are supposed to be and still feeling completely lost. You have done your best. You have tried to do the right things. You have prayed. You have believed. You have held on through the hard seasons. You have gotten back up every time you fell down. And yet here you are, still waiting, still in the middle, still unable to see clearly what is on the other side of all this faithfulness. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a question keeps surfacing that you feel almost guilty for thinking. The question is any of this actually working? Let me answer that question clearly and directly right now. Yes, it is working. Every single bit of it is working. Even the parts that feel like they are failing. Even the parts that have not produced visible results yet. Even the parts that made absolutely no sense at the time. Here is something I want you to understand about the way I work. I am almost never doing only one thing at a time. When you look at a season of your life, and all you can see is the problem on the surface, what you cannot see is the 17 other things I am simultaneously doing underneath. In your heart, in the hearts of people connected to your story, in circumstances that have not yet come into view, in timing that is being orchestrated down to the finest detail. Nothing in my kingdom is ever wasted. Not a single prayer, not a single tear, not a single day of faithful waiting that felt absolutely pointless. I collect every one of them. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. Not some things, Not the easy things. Not just the things that make sense. All things, every single thing. So when you look at the pieces of your life right now, and they do not seem to fit together into anything that resembles a picture, do not throw them away. Hold them. Trust me with them. Because I can see the picture even when you cannot. And I am putting it together even when you cannot feel me working. My dear child, let us talk about rest. Real rest. Not the kind that comes from having everything figured out or fixed or settled, but the kind of rest that comes from something much deeper than that. There is a pace that this world runs at that is absolutely exhausting. And if you are not careful, you will spend your entire life running at that pace, always chasing the next thing, always trying to stay ahead of what feels like it might catch you, always moving so fast that you never actually arrive anywhere. You just keep running. I did not create you for that. Come to me, all of you who are weary and carrying heavy loads, and I will give you rest. Not someday when things slow down, not eventually when life gets easier. Today, in the middle of the chaos and the uncertainty and the unfinished business and the unanswered prayers. Now, but here is the thing about the rest I offer. It is not passive. It is not giving up. It is not lying down and deciding that nothing matters. The rest I give is more like what happens when a river stops trying to fight the current and starts moving with it. All that struggling energy becomes flowing energy, and suddenly you are covering more ground than you ever did when you were straining and fighting. Learning the rhythm of my kingdom is one of the most transformative things you can do with your life. My kingdom does not run on hustle. It runs on trust. It does not reward the most frantic. It opens itself to the most faithful. It does not go faster just because you push harder. It unfolds in its own time, which is always the perfect time, and it invites you to sink yourself to that time instead of dragging it toward yours. Be still and know that I am God. That verse is not just a nice sentiment. It is a description of the most powerful position you can stand in. When you are still, when you have stopped striving and straining and forcing things to happen. When you have opened your hands and said, I cannot make this happen. Only you can, and I trust you to do it. That is when the knowing comes. That is when the peace comes. That is when you begin to see clearly what was impossible to see when you were running too fast. So slow down, my dear child. You do not have to earn tomorrow by exhausting yourself today. You do not have to control everything to be safe. You do not have to figure everything out to be okay. I am already ahead of you. I am already working on what concerns you. I am already arranging what you cannot yet see. And your job right now is simply to trust that and rest in it. If these messages have brought peace to your heart, strengthened your faith, or reminded you of God's love, please consider supporting this ministry through PayPal links below. Together, we can continue sharing hope and God's word with countless souls around the world. My dear child, I want to speak to you now about something you might not have recognized as a gift, though it has been one all along. I want to talk to you about the season you are in right now, the one that feels like nothing, the one that feels like waiting without end, the one you are desperate to get out of. This season is not your enemy. I know it feels that way. I know it feels like a cage sometimes, like the walls are closing in and the exit is nowhere to be found. But what if I told you that this very season is one of the most important ones of your entire life? Not because of what you are accomplishing in it, because I know it feels like you are not accomplishing much at all, but because of what is being formed in you through it. There is a kind of depth that cannot be achieved on the surface. There is a kind of rootedness that cannot happen on easy ground. There is a kind of knowing, a bone, deep, unshakable knowing of who I am and who you are to me, that can only grow in the kind of quiet and sometimes painful seasons that you would never choose for yourself, but that I allow because I know what they are producing. Think about a diamond. It starts out as carbon, completely ordinary, unremarkable, and then it goes through something, an enormous amount of pressure, an enormous amount of heat, for an enormous amount of time. And what comes out on the other side is something that reflects light in a way that nothing else in the world can duplicate. You are in the pressure. You are in the heat. And I know it does not feel beautiful right now. But what is being formed in you right now is exactly that kind of thing. The kind of character and faith and depth of spirit that will reflect my light in a way that is uniquely yours, in a way that no one else can replicate, because no one else has walked exactly your path or carried exactly your story. Every person who will one day be helped or healed or given hope because of something you say or do, or simply because of the way you carry yourself after what you have been through. Every one of those people is a reason why this season matters. You cannot see them yet, but I can, and I am preparing you for them. He makes everything beautiful in its time, not some things, everything, including this, including you, including right now, even when right now feels anything but beautiful. My dear child, I want to address something that has been sitting quietly in the background of your life for a long time now. Something you might not even have words for yet. It is a kind of loneliness that has nothing to do with how many people are around you. You can be surrounded by family and still feel it. You can be in a room full of people who love you and still feel it. It is the loneliness of feeling like no one truly sees you. No one truly knows the full version of you. The version underneath the version you show in public. The version that is still figuring things out. The version that has fears you have never admitted out loud. The version that carries wounds you have never showed anyone. I see that version. I want you to hear that again. I see it, not just the acceptable parts, not just the impressive parts, not just the parts you are comfortable bringing into the light. All of it, every corner, every shadow, every unfinished thought and unnamed fear and quiet longing and buried dream. I see all of it, and I have not turned away. When I formed you, I did not form a surface version of you and leave everything underneath unattended. I formed all of you, I knowing you completely, and knowing you completely. I love you completely. There is no part of you that surprised me. There is no chapter of your story that made me regret creating you. There is nothing you have thought or done or failed to do that has changed the way I see you. O Lord, you have searched me, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. Before a word is on my tongue, you know it completely. I am there before you even open your mouth. I am there before you even know what you need. I have been there through every season of your life, not just the ones you brought to church or prayed about or felt worthy enough to include me in. Every season, every moment, every quiet middle of the night thought, and that completeness of knowing, that is what makes the love I have for you so different from any human love you have ever experienced. Human love, even the best kind, is always loving an incomplete picture of you. People love what they know of you, and there is always more they do not know. But I love the complete picture, every detail, every contradiction, every beautiful, broken, remarkable, ordinary, extraordinary thing about you. And I chose you anyway. I called you by name. You are mine. Let that be the foundation you stand on today, my dear child. Not what you have done right. Not how much progress you have made. Not how put together your life looks from the outside. Just this one thing. I am completely known by the one who made me, and I am completely loved by that same one, and nothing that happens today can change that. My dear child, now I want to talk to you about something that might challenge you a little, and I ask you to stay with me. because what I want to say comes from a place of deep love for you, and not judgment. There are things in your life that you have been holding onto that are actually holding you back. Not because they are necessarily terrible things. Sometimes they are not. Sometimes they are things that were good once, things that served you in a different season, things you built your sense of safety or identity around. But they have become like old clothes that no longer fit. You keep wearing them because they are familiar, because getting rid of them feels frightening, because you do not know yet who you would be without them. I am not asking you to throw everything away. I am not asking you to make dramatic changes overnight, but I am inviting you to hold your life up a little more loosely, to be willing to let me lead you out of some things, even when it is uncomfortable. To trust that when I ask you to release something, it is never to leave you with nothing. It is always to make room for something greater. Think about the caterpillar. For a long time, it lives as a caterpillar, and that is all it knows. The cocoon is not a comfortable experience. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. But inside, everything is being completely restructured. Everything the caterpillar was is being dissolved and reformed into something entirely new. And when it finally breaks free from that cocoon, it is not because it tried harder to be a caterpillar. It is because it allowed itself to go through the process of becoming something else entirely. I am doing that kind of work in you in this season. And some of the discomfort you are feeling is the discomfort of that process, of being between the old form and the new one, of not quite fitting into what you used to be and not yet fully inhabiting what you are becoming. Do not rush out of the cocoon too early. Do not force your way back into the old form just because it is familiar. Stay in the process, trust the process, and trust the one who designed the process, because I know exactly what I am making, and it is beautiful. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. I am not just patching up the old. I am making something new, and new things sometimes require a dismantling of old things to make room. That dismantling is not loss. It is preparation. My dear child, let us talk now about the people in your life, the relationships that have shaped you, and the ones that have wounded you, the connections that have brought you life, and the ones that have drained you dry. I want to start with this. Every single person I have placed in your path has been placed there intentionally, even the difficult ones, even the ones who hurt you, even the ones who left, and yes, even the ones who stayed when they probably should not have. I have used every one of them to shape something in you, to teach you something, to grow something in you that could not have grown any other way. But here is what I also want you to hear. The wounds that came through those relationships, the ones you are still carrying, the ones you have tried to bury or ignore or minimize or push through, I see them. And I have not left them untouched in your heart simply because the person who caused them is no longer in your life, or because a long time has passed. The passing of time does not automatically heal deep wounds. Only I can do that. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Not just some wounds. Not just the acceptable ones. All of them. The ones from childhood that you have carried so long they feel like part of who you are. The ones from friendships that ended badly and left you wondering if it was your fault. The ones from love that promised to stay and then left anyway. The ones you gave yourself through the harsh and relentless way you sometimes speak to yourself in the quiet of your own mind. I want to heal all of it. But healing is a process, not an event, and it requires your willingness to let me into those places. It requires the courage to stop pretending the wounds are not there. It requires the vulnerability of bringing the broken thing to the one who can actually fix it rather than trying to glue it back together yourself. and wondering why it keeps coming apart. And healing also sometimes requires something that does not come easily. It requires forgiveness. Not for the sake of the person who hurt you, not because what they did was okay or does not matter, but for your own sake. Because carrying unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to feel sick. It keeps you tied to the thing that hurt you. It keeps the wound open. It keeps you living in the past instead of stepping into the future I have prepared. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It does not mean pretending it did not happen or that it did not matter. It means releasing your grip on the right to hold it over them. It means handing the hurt to me and trusting me to deal with the justice of it while you walk free. And walking free, my dear child, is what I want for you. Not the prison of old pain, the open field of a healed and settled heart. I know that some of you reading this are holding wounds that feel too big to forgive, things done to you that were genuinely wrong and genuinely harmful, and that left genuine scars. I am not minimizing any of that. What was done to you matters to me, and I am not asking you to act as if it did not happen. I am simply saying, give it to me. All of it. Every bit of the pain and the anger and the grief and the sense of injustice. Give it to me, because I can hold it in a way you cannot. And when you release it, you will discover that you are lighter than you have been in a very long time. Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. Every anxiety, every wound, every heavy thing, I can hold all of it. And when you let go, you will feel what it is like to be free. My dear child, I want to spend some time now talking to you about purpose, because I think this is something many of you wrestle with deeply, and the wrestling often stays silent because it feels too big or too uncertain to say out loud. You wonder sometimes if your life has a point, if what you do every day actually matters to anyone or anything beyond the immediate moment, if there is a reason specific to you, a reason that is not interchangeable with anyone else's reason, a reason that actually requires you to exist in this particular way at this particular time in this particular place. There is. There absolutely is. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. The word set apart means consecrated, designated, chosen with intention for a specific purpose, not a generic purpose that could apply to anyone. A specific purpose that is woven into the fabric of who you are, into your personality and your experiences and your gifts and even your wounds. Yes, even your wounds. Some of the most powerful callings I have ever given to people have grown directly out of the places where they were broken. Because the person who has walked through darkness and found light in it carries something that someone who has never been in the dark simply cannot offer. They can speak to the darkness with authority. They can sit with someone in the pit and say, I know this place, and I also know that there is a way out, because I have been here and here is what I found. Your story is not a liability. It is a qualification. Every hard thing you have been through has made you more capable of helping someone else through something similar. Every season of loss has made you more compassionate toward others who are losing. Every period of confusion has made you more patient with others who are confused. Every moment of doubt has made you more gentle with others who are doubting. I have not wasted a single chapter of your life. I am using all of it. Not just the chapters you are proud of. All of it. And your purpose is not something you have to figure out all at once. It is not a single dramatic defining moment that changes everything overnight. It is something you grow into. Something that unfolds as you walk faithfully one day at a time. One choice at a time. One small act of obedience at a time. The steps of a good person are ordered by me. I am ordering yours. And as you keep walking, the path becomes clearer. Do not compare your purpose to someone else's. Do not look at what another person is doing with their life and measure your purpose against theirs. I gave you a specific assignment that belongs to you alone, and trying to fulfill someone else's assignment is like using the wrong key in a lock. It simply will not fit. You are the only key that fits your particular lock, and I made both the key and the lock with perfect precision. Every video is created with prayer, time, and dedication to reach those who may be searching for encouragement and faith. By supporting this ministry through PayPal, you help keep this mission growing and touching more lives each day. God bless you abundantly. My dear child, let me now say something about the prayers you have been praying that still have not been answered. The ones you have been bringing to me for months, or maybe even years. The ones that have started to feel like maybe I am simply not going to answer them. The ones you have almost given up on. Do not give up on them. I want to tell you something about the way prayer works that might help you in those moments when the waiting feels endless. Prayer is not a transaction. It is not a formula where you put in the right words and the right amount of faith, and the right answer comes out at the right time. Prayer is a conversation. It is a relationship. And like all relationships, it sometimes involves periods of waiting, periods of silence, periods where things are moving beneath the surface that you cannot yet see. But I hear every prayer, every single one. The ones you pray with great faith, and the ones you pray half-heartedly, because you are not sure you believe anymore. The ones you pray with clean hands, and the ones you pray in the middle of your mess. The ones you pray out loud, and the ones that are nothing more than a groan that has no words attached to it. I hear them all. He who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. I never miss one. And my silence is not rejection. My silence is often the sound of something being prepared that is so good, so exactly right, so perfectly timed, that if it came any sooner, it would not be able to land properly. There are answers I am withholding, not because I do not care about what you are asking, but because I care too much to give you the incomplete version of it. The Lord will give what is good. He does not withhold what is good from those who walk with Him. Good does not always come in the shape you expect or at the time you specified, but it comes. It always comes. And when it arrives, you will know it was worth the wait. Not because the waiting was not hard, it was, but because what arrives is so clearly and perfectly the right thing at the right time that even the hardest parts of the waiting begin to make sense. So keep praying, my dear child, not because it will always feel like it is working, but because you are talking to someone who hears you and who loves you and who is working on your behalf even in the silence. Especially in the silence. I'll add your third subscribe reminder here, something like, before we continue, I just want to remind you to subscribe to this channel if you have not already, and to share this message with anyone you know who might need to hear it today. Now let us go deeper together. My dear child, there is something I want to say to you now that is perhaps the most personal thing in this entire message. And it is this. I see how hard you have been trying. I know that might sound simple, but I want you to really hear it, because I think one of the most exhausting things you carry is the sense that your effort goes unseen, that you work and pray and believe and try and get back up and try again, and still nobody really notices. Still nothing seems to change. Still you feel like you are invisible in the crowd. You are not invisible to me. I see the mornings you got up even though everything in you wanted to stay in bed. I see the kindness you chose when bitterness would have been much easier. I see the prayers you prayed in the middle of the night when no one else was watching. I see the moments you held your tongue when you could have spoken and caused damage. I see the times you chose to trust me even when trusting me made no logical sense in the circumstances you were in. I see all of it, and not a single bit of it has been lost or wasted or overlooked. Your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. That is not a maybe. That is not a conditional promise based on whether you do it perfectly or consistently enough. It is a certainty. I see. I remember. I reward. Not always in the ways or at the times you expect, but always. Because I am not the kind of father who misses what his children do in faithfulness. And here is something I want to add to that, something I think you need to hear directly from me today. You do not have to keep performing to keep my love. You do not have to keep trying harder and harder to prove that you are worthy of my attention. You are not earning my love through your effort. You already have it. You have always had it. It was there before you did anything right, and it will be there after every time you do something wrong, and it is there right now in this very moment, regardless of how you feel about yourself or your life. I have loved you with an everlasting love. That word everlasting is important. It means without a beginning point and without an ending point. It means it was always there and it will always be there. Nothing you do can start it or stop it. It simply is. And you are the object of it. So rest in that today. Let that be the one thing you hold on to when everything else feels uncertain. You are loved. Completely. Consistently. Unconditionally. Forever. And that is not going to change. My dear child, as we move toward the final portion of this message, I want to talk to you about hope. Real hope. Not the kind of wishful thinking that the world sometimes passes off as hope. The kind that just means you really want something to happen, and you are crossing your fingers. The kind of hope I am talking about is something entirely different. The hope I give is not based on circumstances. It is not based on whether things are currently going well or looking promising. It is not dependent on positive indicators or favorable winds or anything that can be seen with the natural eye. The hope I give is an anchor. It goes deep into something that does not move, into something that cannot be shaken, into something that holds you steady even when the storm is at its worst. We have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. An anchor does not stop the storm. It does not calm the waves or change the wind. What it does is keep you from being swept away. It holds you in place so that no matter how violent things get around you, you remain. You do not drift. You do not get lost. That is the hope I am offering you today. Not a guarantee that your circumstances will improve immediately, though they will in time. Not a promise that the hard season will end tomorrow, though it will end. But something better than either of those things. The unshakable assurance that you are held, that you are known, that you are loved, that what I have begun in you will be completed, that your story is not over, that the pages still to come are full of things you cannot yet imagine. This hope does not disappoint, not because it always gives you what you asked for exactly when you asked for it, but because the love that undergirds it never fails. God has poured out His love into our hearts by the Holy Spirit. That love is not a feeling that comes and goes. It is a reality that was poured in and stays. And from that love, from that hope, from that anchor that holds you steady in the storm, something begins to grow. Something that the world cannot manufacture and cannot take away. A deep, settled, unshakable peace. A joy that does not depend on everything going right. A strength that does not come from you at all, but flows through you from the one who has no limits. The Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusts in Him and He helps me. My heart leaps for joy, and with my song I praise Him. That song can start today, my dear child. Not because the hard things are over, but because the one who holds you is greater than the hard things. And knowing that, really knowing it in the deepest part of you, changes everything. My dear child, Let us talk now about what it looks like to actually live from that place. Not just to know it in theory, but to walk it out in the real texture of your daily life. Living from a place of deep peace and anchored hope does not mean you will never feel afraid again. It does not mean the hard emotions will stop coming. It does not mean you will always feel strong or certain or close to me. Living from that place means that even when the fear comes, you know what to do with it. Even when the hard emotions show up, you know who to bring them to. Even when you do not feel strong or certain or close to me, you know that those feelings are not the final truth about where you stand. For we walk by faith, not by sight. Walking by faith is not a passive thing. It is an active daily choice to believe what I have said, rather than only what you can currently see. It is choosing to act on my word, even when your emotions are pulling you in a different direction. It is getting up in the morning and saying, I do not know how today is going to go, but I know you are with me, and that is enough. That choice, repeated every day, in every small circumstance, is what builds the kind of faith that cannot be shaken. Not a single dramatic decision made once and then forgotten. A daily practice, a daily returning, a daily saying yes to trust even when everything in you wants to demand guarantees. And here is what I want you to know about that daily practice. I honor it. Every single time you choose trust over fear, every single time you choose to believe my word over the voices that tell you things are hopeless, every single time you get up and keep going even though you are not sure it is working, I see it. I honor it. And I am building something in you through it that will last far longer than the circumstances that are currently making it difficult. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. I started something in you, and I do not leave things unfinished. What I start, I complete. What I plan, I tend. What I build, I finish. And what I am building in you is not a small and fragile thing. It is something that will stand. Add your fourth and final subscribe reminder here at this point. Something like, we are almost at the end of this message, and I am so grateful you have stayed with us. Please subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell. These words are shared freely because they are meant for you. Do not miss the messages still to come. My dear child, we are coming to the end of this time together, and I want to leave you with something that I hope will stay with you long after you walk away from this video today. Something simple, something true, something you can carry in your pocket and pull out on the hard days. You are not behind. You have not missed your chance. The best of what I have planned for your life has not already happened. The most important chapters of your story have not already been written. And the version of yourself that you have been hoping to become, the settled, rooted, peaceful, purposeful, deeply loved version, that version is not some impossible dream. It is what I am making you into right now, in this very season. Through every hard and beautiful and confusing and ordinary moment of it. I am the same yesterday and today and forever. My love for you does not change with your circumstances, or your emotions, or your performance, or your failures. My plans for you are not derailed by what you have been through, or how long it has taken, or how many times you have stumbled along the way. I am not surprised by any of it. I knew all of it before you lived any of it. And I called you anyway. I chose you anyway. I love you anyway. Rise, my dear child. Not because everything is perfect. Not because you finally have it all figured out. Not because you are completely healed or completely sure or completely ready. Rise because I am calling you to. Rise, because the light in you was not given to be hidden. Rise, because there are people still in the dark who need what has been placed inside you. Rise, because I am with you, and that is the only thing you actually need in order to take the next step. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. That peace is yours, my dear child. Right now, in this moment, in this season, in this life, you are known. You are loved. You are held. You are not forgotten. You are not alone. You have a purpose. You have a future. And the one who made you and knows you and loves you completely is walking with you through every single moment of it. Keep going. I am right here. My dear child, have you ever watched the ocean from ashore and noticed something beautiful and strange at the same time? The waves come in, they crash, they pull back, and then they come again, over and over, without stopping, without rushing, without ever once checking whether anyone is watching or whether anyone appreciates the rhythm. The ocean does not perform. It simply does what it was made to do, consistently, faithfully, day after day after day, whether the sun is shining on it or the storm is raging over it. That is the kind of life I am calling you into, my dear child. Not a life that only moves when the conditions are perfect. Not a faith that only shows up when everything is going well, but something deep and consistent and steady. Something that keeps coming back no matter how many times the wave pulls away. Something that does not depend on applause or ideal circumstances or visible results to keep going. Because here is what I have noticed about the way the world works. It will always try to convince you that your worth is tied to your output, that your value is measured by your productivity, that if you are not achieving something impressive, if you are not moving fast enough, or climbing high enough, or accumulating enough of whatever the world currently considers success, then something must be wrong with you. Then you must be falling behind. Then you must be less than. And you have believed that voice more than you would like to admit. You have let it sit in the background of your mind and color the way you see yourself on the quiet days, the ordinary days, the days when you are not accomplishing anything that would look good written down anywhere. And on those days, something in you quietly concludes that you do not quite measure up. But my dear child, I want to completely dismantle that conclusion today. Not just soften it or work around it. Dismantle it, because it is built on a lie. And I cannot let you carry a lie about yourself when I know the truth. The truth is this: you were not created to be impressive. You were created to be mine. And being mine has nothing to do with what you produce or achieve or accumulate or perform. It has everything to do with who I say you are. And I have already spoken. I have already decided. Before you did a single thing right or wrong in your entire life, before you had the chance to succeed or fail at anything, I formed you. I knew you. I chose you. I breathed life into you with intention, and with love, and with a specific purpose that belongs to you and only you. That did not change when you made the mistakes you are still ashamed of. It did not diminish when life did not go the way you planned. It is not on probation waiting to see how this next season goes. It is fixed. It is settled. It is the most stable thing in your life, and I need you to build on it. Not on your performance, not on your track record, not on the opinions of people who can only see your surface. On this, on me, on the unchanging truth that you are known and chosen and loved by the one who made everything. So today, before we go any further, I want you to do something simple, but something that might actually be harder than it sounds. I want you to release the scorecard. I want you to put down the measuring stick you have been using to evaluate whether your life is working. I want you to stop calculating whether you are ahead or behind or on track or running out of time. And I want you to just be here, right here, in this moment, with me, because this moment, this very one, is not a mistake or a detour or a waste. It is exactly where I have placed you, and I am in it with you, and that makes it enough. Be still and know that I am God. Not be still until things get better. Not be still while you figure out your next move. Just be still and know. And let the knowing be enough for right now. A single act of kindness can help God's message reach someone who needs hope today. If you feel blessed by this channel, you can stand with us through the PayPal links in the description and pinned comment. Thank you for helping us spread God's love one soul at a time. My dear child, I want to take you somewhere in your memory for a moment. I want you to go back to a time when you were much younger. Before life got complicated. Before disappointments stacked up. Before you learned to protect yourself by expecting less and trusting carefully and keeping certain doors in your heart firmly closed. Do you remember what it felt like to believe that anything was possible? To wake up in the morning with a sense that the day was full of something good waiting to happen. To approach the world with a kind of openness that had not yet been worn down by experience. I remember. I was there. I was watching you in those moments, and I loved what I saw. Not because children are perfect, or because naivety is a virtue to be maintained forever, but because there was something in that open-heartedness, something in that willingness to believe, and to hope, and to trust, without needing extensive evidence first. That was actually closer to the truth about how life works than anything the world has taught you since. Jesus Christ himself said that, unless you become like little children, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. He was not saying you need to be naive or immature, or unaware of how hard life can be. He was pointing to something specific, something about the way a child relates to a father. The unhesitating trust, the willingness to reach up a hand without wondering first whether the hand will be there, the complete absence of shame about needing help, the simple, uncomplicated certainty that being loved is not something you earn, but something you simply are. That is what I want to restore in you today, my dear child, not your naivety, but your capacity to trust, not blindness to how hard things can be, but the willingness to believe that hard things are not the final word. The ability to reach up a hand toward me without first calculating whether you have done enough to deserve having it held, because you have not outgrown your need for me. No matter how old you are, no matter how much you have experienced, no matter how self-sufficient you have learned to be, you still need a father. You still need someone who is bigger than the things that frighten you. You still need a hand to hold when the road gets dark and confusing. And I am still that. I have always been that. And I always will be. Come to me as a child comes. Not with a carefully prepared case for why I should help you. Not with a performance designed to impress me into acting on your behalf. Just come. Just reach. Just trust that the hand will be there. Because it will be. It always is. And the simplicity of that trust is not weakness. It is one of the most powerful things a human heart can do. My dear child, now I want to speak to you about something that touches almost every area of your life without you always realizing it. And that is the stories you tell yourself, not the stories you tell other people, the ones you tell yourself. In the quiet, in the between moments, when you are driving somewhere, or lying awake, or sitting in a room full of people who are talking, but you are somewhere else entirely inside your own head. Those internal stories matter more than almost anything else in your life, because they shape the lens through which you see everything. They determine what you expect before things happen. They influence how you respond when things do happen. They color the way you experience even the good things, because if the story underneath says you do not deserve good things, you will find a way to minimize or dismiss or be suspicious of the good when it comes. And I have been listening to some of the stories you tell yourself, and I want to gently but clearly challenge some of them today, because some of them are simply not true. and you have been living inside them for so long that they feel like reality, but they are not. They are just stories. Old ones, often written by pain, or by other people's opinions, or by circumstances that have long since passed. But you are still reading from the same script, years later, and it is limiting you in ways you might not even fully see. Here is one of the most common ones. Nothing ever really works out for me. You have had enough disappointments, enough things that did not go the way you hoped, that you have started to build a case for this conclusion. And every new disappointment gets added to the file as more evidence. And the story gets stronger. And the expectation gets lower. And the willingness to hope gets smaller. Until you find yourself going through the motions of believing, while something underneath has quietly decided not to bother. But that story is not my story for you. My story says that what I have prepared for you is good, that my plans for you are to prosper you and not to harm you, that I cause all things to work together for the good of those who love me. My story says that not one prayer you have ever prayed has fallen to the ground unheard, that not one faithful step you have taken has gone unnoticed, that the things that have not yet happened are not evidence that they never will. They are evidence that the right time has not yet arrived. Here is another story many of you carry. I am too damaged for anything truly good to come through me. You look at your history, your mistakes, your wounds, your weaknesses, and you conclude that you are too broken to be genuinely useful. That the good things, the significant things, the things that actually matter and make a difference, those are for people who did not go through what you went through. People who are less complicated, less messy, less scarred. But that story is also simply not true. In fact, throughout the entire history of the people I have worked through, it is almost universally the ones who have been through the most who end up carrying the deepest capacity to help others. Because they know what the dark places feel like. They can sit with someone in the bottom of a pit and not be frightened by the depth of it, because they have been there. They know what it took to find the way up and out, and that knowledge, born in pain and refined through faithfulness, is one of the most powerful gifts I can give to a hurting world. My power is made perfect in weakness. That means the things you are most embarrassed about are actually potential locations of my greatest work, not in spite of the weakness. Through it, because my strength shows most clearly in places where human strength has run out, and when people see something that cannot be explained by ordinary means coming through an ordinary and imperfect and struggling human life. They do not see you. They see me. And that is exactly the point. So write a new story, my dear child. Not a story built on wishful thinking. A story built on what I have actually said about you and about your life. A story that makes room for redemption and restoration and purpose and hope. A story that holds the hard chapters without letting them become the conclusion. A story that is still being written. A story that does not end where you thought it ended, but continues into something you have not yet been able to see. My dear child, let us now turn our attention to something that you encounter every single day, but perhaps have never thought about quite this way. The present moment, not tomorrow, not the future you are hoping for, or the past you are still processing. Right now, this exact moment you are in. The one that is happening as you breathe in and breathe out and exist in the particular time and place and set of circumstances that make up your life today. I want you to know that I am not only in the future you are hoping to reach. I am not only in the answers to the prayers that have not yet arrived. I am not only in the better seasons ahead. I am here now, in this moment, in the one you are tempted to rush through or endure or dismiss as less important than what is coming. Every single moment of your life is sacred because I am in it. Not just the mountaintop moments, Not just the breakthroughs and the answered prayers in the days when everything finally seems to click, but also this: the ordinary Tuesday, the quiet morning, the unremarkable commute, the simple meal, the conversation that does not seem to matter much. I am in all of it. And when you learn to recognize me in the small and ordinary moments, you will discover that your life is far more full of me than you ever realized. This is the day the Lord has made, not just the spectacular days. This day, whatever day you are in right now, I made it, I placed you in it, and I am present in every hour of it. And something in that day, if you are paying attention, carries an invitation to notice me, to encounter me, to receive something from me that you can only receive right here, in this particular moment, and not in any other. Brother Lawrence was a monk who lived hundreds of years ago and spent most of his life working in a kitchen, washing pots and preparing meals. Nothing glamorous, nothing that the world would look at and call significant. And yet, he became one of the most spiritually rich people of his era simply because he learned to practice the presence of me in every single ordinary moment. He talked to me while washing dishes. He was aware of me while peeling vegetables. He found me not despite the ordinariness of his days, but within it. That is available to you too, my dear child. Not just in church, not just in the moments you set aside specifically for prayer. In all of it. In the grocery store, in the traffic, in the middle of the difficult conversation, in the exhausted end of the day, in the quiet moment when you are not doing anything in particular at all. I am in all of it. And practicing awareness of that, cultivating the habit of turning your attention toward me in the midst of the ordinary, will transform the texture of your daily life in ways that are difficult to describe, but impossible to miss once you experience them. Pray without ceasing. That does not mean being on your knees with your eyes closed at all times. It means maintaining a continuous, underlying awareness of me. A running conversation that does not require a formal beginning or a formal ending. A life lived in relationship with me, rather than a relationship that gets taken out for specific scheduled appointments and then put away until the next one. Start today. Start right now. Not with anything elaborate, not with long prepared words. Just a simple internal acknowledgement. Lord, I know you are here, and I want to be aware of you today. That is enough to begin. And from that beginning, something will start to shift. Something subtle at first, but real, and over time, undeniable. My dear child, I want to spend some time now on something that perhaps does not get talked about enough in conversations about faith, and that is the reality of disappointment. Not sin, not doubt, though we have talked about that. Disappointment specifically. The particular pain that comes when you believed for something, hoped for something, prayed for something with real faith, and then it did not happen the way you expected, or it did not happen at all, or something happened that seemed to directly contradict what you believed I had promised. Disappointment in me, in my timing, in my decisions, in the way things have gone in your life when you were following me as faithfully as you knew how. I want to talk about this honestly because I think many people carry this pain in silence. They feel like they are not supposed to feel it. Like admitting that they are disappointed in God is somehow dangerous or disrespectful, or indicative of a faith problem they need to quickly correct. So they push it down and cover it with religious language and continue going through the motions, while something underneath quietly grieves and grows a little harder and a little more guarded over time. But here is what I want you to know. You can bring me your disappointment. You can tell me directly that you do not understand why things went the way they did. You can come to me with the unresolved grief of things that did not happen the way you believed they would. I am not frightened by that. I am not offended by it. I do not love you less when you bring me your honest pain about the parts of your life that have not made sense. The Psalms are full of it. My servant David cried out to me, repeatedly asking where I was, why I had hidden my face, how long he was expected to wait. Job argued with me. Jeremiah lamented to me. These were not people without faith. They were people with enough faith to bring me the hardest and most honest things in their hearts. Rather than performing composure, they did not feel. And I answered them, not always with an explanation, not always with a resolution to the immediate problem, but with my presence, with the deeper thing, with the encounter that ultimately mattered more than the answer they were looking for. So if you are carrying disappointment today, I am not asking you to pretend it is not there. I am asking you to bring it to me. Name it. Lay it out between us. Tell me what it felt like. Tell me what it cost you. Tell me what you lost, or what never came, or what went differently than you had believed it would. I can hold all of it. And in holding it with you, I will show you something that pure cognitive explanation never could. I will show you that I am still here, that I was still there in the thing that hurt you, that your story is still going, and that what looks like an ending from where you stand looks very different from where I stand. If these messages have brought peace to your heart, strengthened your faith, or reminded you of God's love, please consider supporting this ministry through PayPal links below. Together, we can continue sharing hope and God's word with countless souls around the world. My dear child, there is something I need to tell you about the people around you, the ones you interact with every day, the ones in your family and your neighborhood and your workplace and your community. Many of them are carrying things you cannot see, heavy things, things that have been weighing on them for a long time, things they have not shown to anyone because they have learned through experience that showing it is not always safe. And I have placed you in proximity to some of those people for a reason, not because you have to fix them, not because you need to have the perfect words or the complete answers or a particularly dramatic testimony to offer, but simply because I can use your presence, your consistent and genuine and unhurried presence, to reach them in a way that 1,000 eloquent sermons might not. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Light is interesting because it does not work by trying. It does not strain or perform or argue. It simply shines. And when light is present, darkness cannot remain exactly as it was. Even a small light in a very dark room changes the entire nature of the room, not by fighting the darkness, simply by being what it is. You carry that kind of light. I placed it in you, and it is real, and it is active, and it does not need to wait for you to become more polished, or more prepared, or more impressive before it starts working. It is already working. Every time you choose patience when impatience would have been easier. Every time you offer grace when judgment would have been natural. Every time you listen, truly listen, without rushing to fix or advise or redirect, you are shining. And someone in your vicinity is being touched by it, even if neither of you is aware of it in the moment. Do not underestimate the power of simply being a consistent presence of kindness and steadiness in a world that is often neither of those things. You do not have to have a platform. You do not have to have an audience. You do not have to do anything large or notable or verifiable. You simply have to keep being who I am making you to be, and trust me to use it in ways you cannot measure or track or even always observe. A gentle answer turns away wrath. A word spoken at the right time can change the entire direction of a person's day. A single act of unexpected kindness can break through walls that years of argument could not move. And you, my dear child, in your ordinary life and your ordinary interactions and your ordinary days, have access to all of those things. Not occasionally, Every single day. Use them. Not as a strategy, not as a technique, but simply as the natural overflow of a heart that has received love and is therefore capable of giving it. Out of the overflow of the heart the mouth speaks, and out of the overflow of a heart that is connected to me flows exactly the kind of thing that a thirsty world needs most. My dear child, let us now talk about fear, because I know it visits you. Sometimes it announces itself loudly, and you know exactly what it is. But sometimes it is more subtle than that. Sometimes it shows up disguised as practicality or wisdom or realism. Sometimes it wears the costume of careful thinking or responsible caution. And because it is disguised, you do not always recognize it as fear. But it is still doing what fear does. It is still keeping you smaller than you were made to be. Still holding you back from the edge of what I am calling you toward. Still whispering, just stay where it is safe, even when safe has become a cage. I did not give you a spirit of fear. I gave you a spirit of power and love and a sound mind. That is what lives in you. Not timidity, not the cowering smallness that fear tries to impose on a life. Power, love, a mind that is sound and clear and capable and anchored. That is your inheritance. That is what I breathed into you when I formed you. And yet fear is persistent, is it not? It keeps showing up. It keeps finding new things to attach itself to, new scenarios to construct, new worst cases to present, new reasons why the step I am calling you to take is too risky or too uncertain or too likely to end in disappointment. So let me speak directly to some of the fears I see in you today. The fear that you are running out of time. That the window for the things you hoped for has already closed, or is about to close. That you have waited too long, or started too late, or made too many detours, to still arrive at the destination you had in mind. My dear child, I am not bound by your timeline. Sarah was old enough that the idea of a child made her laugh out loud. Moses was 80 years old when I called him to his greatest assignment. It is never too late for what I have appointed. My purposes are not thwarted by the passage of years. If anything has been delayed, it has been delayed purposefully. And what is coming is not a lesser version of what could have been. It is the right thing at the right time. The fear that you will take a step of faith, and I will not show up. That you will trust and be let down. That the net will not appear when you jump. I understand why you carry that fear. You have been let down before. By people. By situations. By things you thought were certain that turned out not to be. And the natural response to being let down is to protect yourself from it happening again by not trusting too much. But my dear child, I am not a person who makes promises carelessly and then cannot keep them. I am not a circumstance that looked promising and then fell through. I am the one who was before everything and will be after everything and who holds everything in between. When I say I will be there, I will be there. Not almost, not mostly, completely, always. The fear that you are not enough for what I am calling you to do. That the gap between who you currently are and who the task seems to require is too large to cross. That you will say yes and then be found out. That people will discover you are not as capable or as sure or as together as the thing you said yes to seems to require. My dear child, I have never called anyone to do something because they were already fully equipped to do it on their own. I called Moses, who could not speak well. I called Gideon, who was the least in the weakest family. I called Peter, who denied me. I called Paul, who had persecuted my people. I do not call the equipped, I equip the called. And what I ask of you is not perfection, it is availability. Just say yes, I will take care of the rest. My dear child, I want to draw your attention now to something that is happening inside you even as you listen to these words. Something quiet, something subtle, something you might easily dismiss as just your emotions, or just your imagination, or just the natural response to hearing something that resonates. Do not dismiss it. That stirring you feel, that warmth in your chest, that sense of something opening up in a place that has been closed for a while, that is not random. That is me. That is me reaching through these words and touching the actual living substance of who you are. That is the Holy Spirit moving in you in this moment and doing what only I can do, which is to touch the deep things, the real things, the things that words on a page can point toward but cannot by themselves access. I am here, right now, in this moment, not as a concept, not as a historical figure or a theological idea or a distant deity observing your life from somewhere unreachably far away. Here, present, active, speaking to you, reaching toward you, wanting to be found by you in this moment, not just acknowledged, but actually encountered. And I want you to know that this encounter, this real and living connection between you and me, this is the thing that everything else in your life flows out of. Not your circumstances, not your achievements, not your relationships or your reputation or your resources. This, the living relationship between your soul and the one who made it. Everything else is downstream of this. When this is right, when this is alive and real and maintained, everything else has a source to draw from. And when this is neglected or crowded out or slowly starved by the business of life, everything else eventually begins to run dry. So today, more than any practical instruction or inspiring idea, I am inviting you into encounter, into connection, into the simple and profound act of turning your whole attention toward me and letting me be real to you right now. Not later, not in a more spiritually prepared moment now. Exactly as you are. Draw near to me and I will draw near to you. That is one of the most straightforward things I have ever said. The movement begins with you, but it is always met. Always. Without exception. The moment you turn toward me, I am already responding. The moment you open the door even a crack, I am already there on the other side. I was there before you reached the door. I have been waiting for you to reach it. My dear child, now I want to talk about something that affects every one of you who has ever had a relationship with another human being, which means every one of you, and that is the subject of love. Not romantic love specifically, though it certainly includes that, but the whole broad, beautiful, and sometimes incredibly difficult experience of loving other people and being loved by them. Love is the thing I am. It is not just what I do or what I command or what I approve of. It is what I am at the most fundamental level. God is love. That means every genuine experience of love you have ever had in your life. Every moment of real tenderness or true connection or deep knowing or sacrificial care. Every one of those moments was a moment of encountering me. Whether you knew it at the time or not, whether it was labeled that way or not. Wherever love is genuinely present, I am present. And because love is my nature, and because you are made in my image, love is the deepest thing in you too. Your capacity to love and to be loved is not an add-on feature of your humanity. It is central to what you are. It is the thing that makes you most fully yourself. And when that capacity is blocked or wounded or shut down, something in you feels profoundly wrong. Because something profoundly important is not functioning as it was designed to. And so many of you have wounds in exactly this area. Wounds that came from love that was conditional or inconsistent or withheld or weaponized or simply absent when you needed it most. Wounds that taught you that love is not safe. That being open makes you vulnerable in dangerous ways. That the cost of loving is too often a cost you end up paying alone. I know those wounds. I see them. And I understand why you have built the walls you have built. The walls made sense at the time. They were your way of surviving something that hurt more than you had words for. And I am not here to shame you for them. But I am here to tell you that the walls that protected you in one season are limiting you in this one. Because you were made for connection. You were made for love. Not the painful, distorted versions of it that have left their marks on you, but the real thing. The kind I demonstrate. The kind that chooses and stays and gives and forgives and endures and hopes and never keeps a record of wrong. That kind. And that kind is available to you. Not just as a concept, but as a lived experience. It starts with receiving it from me. Because you cannot truly give what you have not truly received. And many of you have never fully received my love. Not really. Not in a way that went all the way down into the deep hurt places and sat there long enough to change something. You have known it as an idea, but the idea has not made it all the way to the wound. Let it make it today. Let me into the places where it hurts. The places where you learned that love was not safe. The places where you still carry the echo of someone who should have stayed and did not. The places where you have concluded that you are not quite lovable enough for the real thing. Let me in there. With the truth. With the love that is not based on your performance, or your personality, or your history. With the love that simply is, steadfast and sure, and refusing to be put off by any of it. When you have received that love, really received it, something changes in you. The walls do not have to come down all at once. But something softens, something releases, and out of that softening, you become capable of offering to others something that is increasingly real, increasingly genuine, increasingly free from the performance and the need for return that often disguises itself as love, but is actually something else entirely. That is the love I want to flow through you, and it starts here, right now, with you and me. And the truth that you are loved. My dear child, there is a conversation I want to have with you now about your future. Not the distant, abstract, theoretical future, but the actual, practical, everyday future that begins the moment this video ends and you walk back into your life. Because I know that one of the challenges of moments like this one, moments of genuine encounter and real depth and spiritual clarity, is that they can feel disconnected from Monday morning. They can feel like a beautiful island that you visit and then leave behind when the alarm clock goes off and the emails come in and the responsibilities pile up and life starts being loud again. And so I want to speak very practically to you right now about how to carry what you are receiving today into the actual texture of your life. Not just as a memory of a nice moment, but as a living reality that keeps working in you long after the music has stopped. First, my dear child, build in stillness. Not optional, not as a luxury for when things calm down enough to afford it. Non-negotiable, planned, protected stillness. Even if it is small, even if it is just 10 minutes in the morning, before the day starts claiming you. A moment to be quiet. To breathe, to remind yourself of what is true before the noise begins telling you otherwise. This is the foundation. Without it, everything else gets crowded out. In quietness and trust is your strength. That strength is not assembled in the rush. It grows in the quiet. Second, pay attention to what you are filling yourself with. The words you read, the things you watch, the conversations you allow yourself to be pulled into. These things are not neutral. They are either building your faith or eroding it. They are either deepening your connection to me or quietly pulling your attention somewhere else. You do not have to be extreme about this. You do not have to disconnect from the world, but be intentional. Be selective. Feed yourself on things that give life, because whatever you feed grows. And whatever you starve weakens. And what you want to grow right now, more than anything else, is this connection between your soul and mine. Third, find people. Do not try to walk this out alone. Not because you cannot, but because you were not designed to. I created you for community. For the kind of relationships where you can be honest about what you are going through without performing strength you do not feel. For the kind of people who will pray with you and for you, who will remind you of what is true when you have temporarily forgotten it, who will stay in the difficult conversations rather than offering easy comfort. Find those people and be that person for others. Two are better than one, because if either of them falls down, one can help the other up. Fourth, do not wait until you feel ready to step into what I am calling you to do. Readiness is often a myth, a feeling that keeps promising to arrive and then does not quite show up in the way you expected. What I am calling you to does not require you to feel ready. It requires you to be willing to take the next small step, to say yes to the thing in front of you today, and trust that I will give you what you need for the next thing when you get to it. You have not been given a spirit of fear. You have been given one of power and love and a sound mind. Walk in that, even when you do not feel it yet. The feeling follows the step more often than it precedes it. And fifth, and perhaps most importantly, keep coming back to me. In the ordinary moments, in the difficult ones, in the ones where you have done everything wrong and are not sure you want to face me. Especially those. I am not easier to find when you have behaved perfectly. I am not harder to find when you have stumbled. I am always at the same place, always available, always ready to receive you exactly as you are at any point, in any day, in any condition. Just keep coming back. Every video on this channel is created with love, faith, and dedication to sharing God's Word. If these messages inspire and encourage you, you can support our mission through PayPal, links in the description and pinned comment. Thank you for being part of this journey, my dear child. I want to say something now to those of you who are in the middle of something genuinely hard right now. Not hard in a way that feels productive or meaningful, but hard in the way that just feels heavy. The kind of hard where you are not sure what lesson you are supposed to be learning or what purpose the pain is supposed to be serving. The kind where you are just trying to get through the day, and you would deeply appreciate it if someone acknowledged that without immediately offering a silver lining. I see you, not just in the general sense. I see specifically you, the weight you are carrying right now. The thing that woke you up in the middle of last night and would not let you go back to sleep. The thing you are trying not to think about too much, because when you think about it, the scale of it becomes overwhelming. The thing you have prayed about so many times that you have run out of different ways to pray it, and now you just lie there in the quiet and hope that my presence alone counts as prayer. It does. It more than counts. I am close to the brokenhearted, and I save those who are crushed in spirit. Not eventually. Not after the lesson has been learned, and the character has been built, and the spiritual growth has been completed. Now, in the middle of the brokenness, in the being crushed, right there. That is where I am closest. And I know you might not feel that right now. I know that one of the cruelest aspects of the hardest seasons is that they often come with a feeling of spiritual distance, of silence, of wondering whether your prayers are making it past the ceiling, of feeling more alone in your pain than you have ever felt, and trying to hold on to faith in that environment is genuinely hard. And I am not going to minimize that by giving you a list of reasons. It is all actually fine. What I will tell you is this: the feeling of distance is not the reality of distance, and the silence is not the sound of absence. I am there, even in the silence, even in the dark, even in the place where you cannot feel me and cannot hear me and cannot find evidence of my activity anywhere around you. Even there, especially there, He will not abandon you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Never is a complete word. It includes the moments when it feels like never. It includes the seasons that seem to disprove it. It holds firm against every circumstance that tries to argue otherwise. I will never leave you, and I will see you through this. Not around it, through it. And on the other side, you will not be the same person who entered it. You will be someone who knows from the inside out what it means to be held through something that should have broken you and did not. My dear child, as we approach the final portion of this time together, I want to speak to you about something that I think is the natural destination of everything we have talked about today, and that is the life that becomes a testimony, not a testimony in the formal sense, though that has its place, but the testimony that is a life, the ongoing lived evidence of what happens to a human being who walks with me through the full range of experience, through the ordinary days and the extraordinary ones, through the easy seasons and the impossibly hard ones, through the moments of great faith and the moments of struggling doubt, through everything. That life, the one you are living right now, with all its unfinished chapters and ongoing questions and daily attempts and occasional failures and persistent hope, that life is itself a message. It is speaking even when you are not. It is testifying even when you are just going about your ordinary business. And the people around you, the ones who are watching whether you realize it or not, are being influenced by it in ways that you will probably not fully know until much later. They overcame by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. The testimony is powerful, not because it is perfect, because it is real, because it belongs to a person who actually lived it, who actually went through the dark places and found light in them, who actually reached the end of themselves and found that I was there, who actually stumbled and got back up, who actually held on when letting go would have been so much easier. That is your testimony, in progress, being written right now, and it is more powerful than you know. So walk it faithfully, my dear child, not for an audience, not to build a brand or create a platform or have something impressive to point to, simply because it is your life, and you have been given it to live it fully and honestly and in genuine connection with me. And that fullness and honesty and connection will do more good in more lives than any calculated strategy ever could. Let your light shine before others so that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Not your impressive works, not your flawless works, your good works. The simple, everyday, consistent, faithful good that flows from a heart that is connected to me. That light is real, it is shining, and it is reaching people you cannot see. My dear child, we have walked a long way together in this time. We have gone into some deep places, some tender ones, some that perhaps touched things you have not let yourself feel in a while. And before we part, I want to give you something to carry with you. Not a to-do list, not a set of principles, something simpler than that. I want you to carry this. You are not forgotten. You have never been forgotten. Not one day, not one moment, not one prayer, not one tear, not one faithful step taken in a season when faithfulness cost you something. All of it has been seen. All of it has been held. All of it is being woven into something. And the one who is doing the weaving is not distant or indifferent or too busy with larger concerns to attend to yours. He is close. He is present. He is attentive to every detail of your life with the focused and tender care of a father who deeply loves the child he is raising. That is who I am to you, not a concept. A father, your father. And your father says to you today, keep going. Not because the road is easy, not because everything makes sense right now, not because you have all the answers or the strength or the certainty you feel you need. Keep going because I am with you. Keep going because what I have started in you is not finished. Keep going because the pages still ahead are full of things that will make you glad you did not stop here. You are loved. You are held. You are seen. You are mine, and the best is still to come. My dear child, before you close your eyes tonight, I want you to rest in this one truth that is more solid and more real than anything else in your life. You did not arrive at this moment by accident. You heard these words today because I arranged for you to hear them, because I know what you have been carrying, because I know what you have been wondering, because I know the part of your heart that has been quietly asking if any of this is real, if I am real, if the love I speak of actually reaches all the way down to the specific and ordinary, and sometimes messy details of your specific and ordinary, and sometimes messy life. And the answer is yes, it reaches all the way down. It always has. It always will. You are not a number to me. You are not a face in a crowd. You are my child, known by name, loved without condition, held without end. And no matter what tomorrow brings, no matter what the next season looks like, no matter how long the road still stretches ahead, you will not walk it alone. I will be there, step by step, breath by breath, every single morning when the sun rises again, and you have to decide once more to trust me. I will be there, and I will never, never leave you. Walk in peace, my dear child. The story is not over. In fact, with me, the best is always still to come. Amen. My dear child, as we come to the end of this message, I want you to take a slow, deep breath and just for a moment, let everything else go quiet. You do not need to have anything figured out right now. You do not need to fix everything tonight. You do not need to be a different version of yourself before I am willing to walk with you. You are already held. You have always been held, and the love that holds you is not going anywhere. This journey you are on, this life with all its weight and wonder and confusion and beauty, it is not happening without meaning. Every step you have taken, even the ones that felt like steps in the wrong direction, have been seen and held, and are being woven together into something that will one day make a kind of sense that leaves you breathless. I know the plans I have for you, plans to give you a hope and a future, not to harm you, not to leave you, to bring you into something real and lasting and full. So rise, my dear child. Rise not because everything is fixed, but because you are not alone. Rise not because you are strong enough, but because I am. Rise because the light in you is real and the world needs it. Rise because what I have started in you is not finished. Rise because I am still here, still speaking, still walking right beside you, and I am not going anywhere. You are loved. You have always been loved, and you will be loved forever. That is the one thing in your life that will never ever change. Go forward in that truth, and let it be enough. Amen. A single act of kindness can help God's message reach someone who needs hope today. If you feel blessed by this channel, you can stand with us through the PayPal links in the description and pinned comment. Thank you for helping us spread God's love one soul at a time. Thank you so much for staying with this message all the way to the end. If this touched your heart today, please subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a spiritual message. Share this with someone who needs to hear that they are not alone, that they are seen, that they are loved, and that the best chapters of their story are still being written. God bless you, dear child. See you in the next message.